What's up, folks? How's it going? So tonight, Israel was attacked with, apparently, the news is saying between, for what it's worth, between 150 and 250 ballistic missiles from Iran in retaliation for Israel's ground invasion of Lebanon. So, I think this is quite obvious. I don't script any of these videos, but when I make a video, I make it all off the top of my head. But any one of these videos that I've made, I watch them multiple times because I want to make sure that I didn't say something completely wrong. Maliciously wrong. Sometimes you're wrong and it's okay to be wrong, but really wrong. So a couple years ago, I said, this was the continuing escalation over the Russia-Ukraine situation. I'll explain to you why I'm calling it that later. And I said that the behavior by our government, the Ukrainian government, the Europeans, the continual escalation of rhetoric of the supplying the weapons and, in my opinion, clandestine U.S. Personnel to operate weapon systems within Ukraine. I said these will continue to escalate to the point where it will cause a major conflagration. And if it doesn't, that says to me that the whole rules of how the world work are broken, that it's just not functioning in any kind of rational way. I come at the way that I look at this kind of stuff from a history standpoint. I have no education, but I consider myself a pretty good amateur historian, and I view it like I would judge any historical event, and what would a power do when pushed into this direction and that direction, and applying that knowledge, I make a prediction. Maybe I say it on here, maybe I say it to other people in real life, and so I said it's one of two things: either something's going to happen, or if it doesn't, that's saying to me that the world is not as it seems, which is obvious to everybody, but I'm talking about on a level that's crazy. So you say, fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, won't be fooled again. Fool me 3 times, this will be 3 times. Okay, because during COVID, I watched the whole world go fucking crazy, and then everybody just drop it and act really like it didn't happen. I was like, man, this shit is crazy. The government has no legitimacy anymore. Everything is going to complete shit. People are gonna, there's got to be change. Something's got to happen. And it didn't. I went, Jesus fucking Christ, maybe I am wrong. Something's wrong here. And then, another example is this Russia situation, which has been going on for several years now, with us doing everything up to and including, I'm going to say, us supporting, they say these Ukrainian divers blew up the fucking pipeline. 2 divers on a yacht, blow me. We're involved in that. We're involved in fighting over there. If there's fighting going on at all, what level of fighting is occurring and what's happening there. And this Israel situation is another one where it's Israel is going full bore now. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about, because it doesn't matter to this conversation about who's even right. But Israel is doing the thing, okay, that everyone's been worried about happening for fucking 50, for my entire life, ever since I've been paying attention, and for many years before, 50, 60 years, however long this has been happening. Israel's doing the thing, okay? They're destroying Palestine, they're invading Lebanon, they're being attacked by Iran, they're going to attack back. They're doing all the shit. We're there with ships. The whole thing sounds like, did you ever see The Day After? It was a made-for-TV 80s thing. Probably a lot more people have heard about this now thanks to like YouTube and shit. But it was a made-for-TV documentary about nuclear war that like really terrified people or whatever. But the point is that like the setup for the war, you just hear in news clips or whatever. It's not central to the story, but it just happened to be that Iran was, I could be switching this up with Threads. There was a British version of this, like an apocalyptic movie called Threads. Either way, the plot to one of these films was a U.S.-Soviet war over Iran and Israel and all this shit. And it's like, it's all lining up. And I'm at this point where I'm thinking, like, there's really only, again, two options. And I don't know. I mean, I know which one would be worse in the short term, but I don't know which one is more, I don't know which one's worse. So either we're going to start and have World War III for real, actually, and millions or billions of people will die, and, just the repercussions are unimaginable, and, it's reprehensible to even be in a situation like that. Either that's going to happen, because there's no cooler heads there's no smart people in the room. There's no adults in the room. There's nobody really running our country. But the world is being run by total fucking retards now. I don't know if you've noticed this. So either we have a situation where, okay, we all die, or if nothing happens out of this, I am forced to conclude, okay, for real now, that the shit is fake. If you read, and I don't want to sound like an intellectual political commentary hack, but the book 1984, okay, really is something that you have to fucking actually go read. If you haven't, please read it. It's a short book, but they have there's a war going on somewhere, and they're being told about it all the time, and they're unclear as to who's fighting, or if it's really, the character in the book is unclear as to whether the war is really happening, and there's sometimes these rockets come in, but who the fuck knows who actually sent the rockets? You've never seen these people anywhere. The point is that it was fake. I mean, is it all for show? What is happening? And the problem with that is that I guess saves us the immediacy of complete annihilation, irreparable damage, but it tells me that we really truly are lost, and there's like just full control. Like there's no way to really trust anything that you're seeing or hearing. From I don't even want to talk about the fucking election because it makes me sick, but like the two people that you're being given a choice of would have the same, their positions on this issue in the Middle East specifically are the same. There's no difference in the way that the Democrats or the Republicans have treated foreign policy, with the exception of Trump's bluster that he displayed early on in his term, which I think won him some points with certain people around the world that found it amusing. But that was all show. That was all surface shit. It wasn't. There was nothing substantive changed about how we approach the world. You know, our use of power, our justifications for using it, our level of honesty about what we're doing. You know, that's the reason why it's like, I you know, we're the ones who are fucking lying about everything that we're doing. You know, in some way, I actually have to commend Israel for just straight up being like, yeah, we're just gonna fucking kill everyone. You know what I mean? Like, at least, like, it's crazy, but at least they're being upfront about what they're doing. I mean, they escalated this whole shit, and people are so fucked in the head that they don't get how crazy it is that they fucking blew, like, YouTube channels of people that, like, I find amusing, or making these videos about how it's fucking cool that they're putting bombs in your phone. That's not good. Now, I know it's not on our phone yet, but this is an idea that need not have been ideated, okay? This is sick shit, okay? But this is the world that we're living in. If that went down the way that they said, now, am I inclined to believe it because I think these people are capable of that? These people being the government of Israel? Absolutely. I believe they're capable of that, and I'm inclined to believe it. But I have to I have to consciously remind myself constantly that while it's easy to spot the propaganda that is, you know, goes against what, you know, what you would believe to be, you know, the thing, you have to recognize that they're going to fucking tell you shit that you're going to believe because you want to believe it. You know, a lot of this other shit, you know, some shit that seems to, you know, it's easier for you to be skeptical. But I don't know what the fuck is actually happening. You know, and people unfortunately really will believe whatever they're told, most of them. About, I mean, I really would say about 70% of the people are completely incapable of doing anything other than what the consensus that's been manufactured for them tells them to do. And the problem with that, and I don't think that's new, I think that's just part of human nature. I think that people in ancient times knew this. People have always known this. They've described it in different ways, and they had different ways of dealing with it. Back in the day, this is why I've softened on my position on religion per se. I have not done, and I've recognized this now. My real issue with the Christians and the religious people is the hypocrisy. It's not the belief, because I've matured enough to know that there's certain things that you can just, I understand the concept of faith, okay? I'm not saying it's logical, but I understand it now, okay? But hypocrisy is something that I fucking am disgusted by. That's why, like, an entity like Russia, okay, which is obviously a strongman dictatorship type situation, they will commit violence to get what they want. It's not necessarily a place I think I would really want to live, but I will tell you that they, I believe, okay, in my morals, are less sick than, like, the U.S. government is. Because we have killed so many people. Like, they're, okay, like, let's say everything that is going on in Ukraine is as they say. We killed like 1 million fucking people in Iraq, okay? It's fucking insane for us to be moralizing about this shit, but the reason that we're moralizing about it is because the 70% are doing what they're told. And to get back to what I was saying, the reason why I've softened on religion as a concept is because I've come to realize that about 70% of people require something like that in order to guide their worldview, okay? And in the absence of traditional religion, they will follow a new God, okay? Whether it be politics or the TV, which is my catch-all for the media. It's your phone, it's all of that. And this is their new God. This is their new religion. They will follow it, and they will commit violence and hypocrisy and acts. They'll do terrible things and then not realize that they're doing it. Because that's what this kind of shit does. I really think that the thing is completely controlled. I think the people on both sides, are 70% of them, really have no independent thought, and that really a play is being put on here. And it doesn't matter that 30% of people are in a state of mind that they could pick up on it, because those 30% are not going to agree about what's happening or why. So it's not like 30% of people are like comrades in arms in the fight against whatever the fuck is wrong with existence right now. You have a powerful cabal of people that are positioning themselves to remake the world order. I mean, it sounds so fucking ridiculous, but why? This is what people have been trying to do for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I think that if nothing happens here, what explanation could there be for these nations to be engaging in this theater unless they're in on it? The wrestlers, they're fighting, but they're in on it. I just don't know what to say. It's a bit, I don't know what the point of this is, other than to say that it's just so very difficult to like make any kind of reasonable judgment about what will or should happen. And I find it impossible to believe at face value anything that I'm told by the news. Like, they're saying that so far, and this is the night, this is Tuesday in America, Tuesday evening, and they're saying that what I've read is that no Israelis were killed, but one Palestinian civilian was injured or killed. And I see a video, okay, of a fucking piece of a rocket. There's just a guy just like strolling like nonchalantly, because apparently, him and there's two guys just like standing over there, not really looking up at the sky at all the rockets that would have been presumably up there, because there's barrages of rockets, right? And then there's counter battery fire of rockets and shit. They're not looking at any of that. But this piece of rocket falls down and crushes this guy perfectly. And they got the video. And they got it on the video in high resolution for you to see that, they got one. They got one of their own guys who's a Palestinian. Isn't that crazy? That's wild. That's like something you see in a movie, What are the odds? It's like, dude, and I really believe that a lot of what we're being seen what we're being shown is not real. I believe that this was tested out on the internet before its rollout to the general public. I think a really good example of this is what I personally experienced in the lead up to 2020 and the whole COVID thing. Okay, I saw on 4chan mainly all these videos coming out of China in late 2019 of people fucking convulsing on the ground and like all this crazy shit, and like just crazy shit, right? And this was apparently the COVID, right? And then there's videos of the people wailing and just all this fucking crazy, people dropping dead in the streets. And I'm like, I don't know what to make of this. This is wild. This is weird. And then they started announcing that China was actually closing shit down. So I went, oh man, they don't give a fuck about anything. Maybe this actually is real. So I was fucking kind of scared at first, because based on that, not based on anything that the government was doing, though the way they were obfuscating made me concerned too, because I figured that's probably what they would do at first if there was a real, like, actual, you know, fucking outbreak type situation, is lie about it as long as possible, try to maintain control, because most people will believe what they're told, regardless of what they actually see going on in front of them. But when these things didn't manifest, and I went on a personal physical, I had to go on a trip at the early stages, and some of the things that I saw just made me feel a certain type of way about all that, and my belief that a lot of it was fabricated, exaggerated, but derivated. But the one thing I know for certain was fake were these videos out of China, because none of that shit happened here. People weren't dropping on the ground convulsing. People, apparently died of this flu-like disease, this flu, very strong flu, when they were put on breathing machines and such. But they weren't dropping dead in the street and convulsing and all this stuff. And then China flipped the whole script, because remember, I mean, and again, these videos were not for public. That's kind of the point of what I'm saying here. These videos were not meant for general public consumption. It was meant for consumption of internet type folks and people like me and a bunch of weirdos and stuff. And I believe it was to get, because I think they knew that a lot of people just wouldn't believe what they were being like. That 30% are not going to believe what they're being told. They might believe something completely different than somebody else, but they're not going to believe what they're told by the people on the TV. And so, they so they did this, and apparently hundreds of thousands of people died in America and all these other things, and they were arresting people. It was just all kinds of shit happened, and now nothing. And apparently, you'd think somebody would want some accountability for this. Where are the families of the people? Why is no one saying anything about it? That's so crazy to me, because the media, the TV has moved on. So 70% of the people have moved on with it. That's why they're able to, because if they're hyper-focused on something like the Israel or the Ukraine thing for too long, people might, I don't know, start asking questions. But if they move it along onto the next thing, and then they forget about the thing that happened, like they forgot about all the COVID shit that happened. And so now in November, we're being asked to choose between two people who I believe are essentially actors. Like, that's the conclusion I've come to. That Donald Trump is essentially an actor. That he's in on the whole fucking thing. I think it's the only thing that unfortunately makes any sense from the way that I'm looking at it. And since both the parties do exactly the same thing, I'm forced to conclude that they are not just rhetorically the same, or, in some general sense, like something that, Ben Shapiro says, or one of your guys says. But I mean, literally, actually, these people are all in on it. They're all fucking in on it. The whole fucking thing is suspect. Nothing you see can be believed. With that being said, we're still in danger, because I don't believe that everybody, all the world's nations are involved necessarily in this. Some of them have other things to worry about. They're not developed enough to be involved in this level of sick shit. Not even, it's really, it's beyond a Soviet level of disinformation what we're experiencing now, because it's like known and accepted. it's openly talked about how fake it is. Like, everybody in the Soviet Union knew it was fake, but you couldn't say that. They knew it was fucking bullshit, obviously. You're being told that you have something that you don't have. You know that's not true. But they are too afraid to say anything because they might, like, get sent to a camp or something. Here, everybody knows they're being lied to about most everything, and they're fine with it because the TV told them to be. If they told them to like Trump, they'd like him. And he's of the TV. I mean, it's just so obvious. But yeah, I really think the man is an actor. This whole situation from day one has been ridiculous. Like I said, I voted for him twice. The first time because I really did think it was funny, and just on the off chance that, like, something that he was saying would happen, like any one of the things, just do anything. Or nothing, because I don't like the government. So if he could make the whole thing grind to a halt, that would be fine with me too. And then all that COVID shit happened, and he didn't do anything. You notice that the man never once during that entire time did he ever sit down at the desk in the Oval Office and fucking address the nation about what was going on. Not when the COVID started, not when the fucking race riots started for 2 fucking months, the 2 months of race riots, the fucking, all the other fallout from the COVID and just all the crazy shit that was happening. Never once. He allowed the media to speak for him the entire time, to direct the entire fucking narrative. And, like, of course, his message is getting out to, his people because they're going to get it. You know what I mean? They're getting it one way or another. They don't realize they're being propagandized too either. Because people that are Trump, like a lot of these Trump people, rightfully recognize that people on the left, and, like, if you're openly I'm not even actually against you being on the left. If you were voting for Democrats, you're fucking insane, okay? But they recognize that these people are being misled about stuff, but they don't realize that they're being equally propagandized to about other shit. They don't even understand how controlled they are because they're part of the 70%. 70% on one side, 70% on the other side have no fucking idea what they're doing. And yeah, I mean, it's like, I know it sounds crazy, but I really mean this literally. Like, I don't believe these are genuine people. Like, they're all playing a role, literally. The whole fucking thing is fake. And again, people are like, well, if that's true, why would you be allowed to say that? Well, first of all, nobody cares what I say. But why would people be allowed to say it? Because it doesn't matter. Because you got 70%. 70% of anything wins, okay? 70%, that's a solid enough number. It doesn't matter what you or I think about this, if they can get 70% of people to do whatever they're told. You'll notice that for the most part, like, even on these foreign policy issues, like, quiz your Democrat or your Republican coworker. Well, I actually don't. It's not worth your time. But, like, if you were to quiz these people about Israel or something, and I'm not talking about, like, young kids or whatever, they might have a different position on Israel, but I'm talking like the real average voter, like a 52-year-old person. If they're a Democrat or a Republican, they're essentially going to have the same outlook on this foreign policy issue. They don't even fucking realize it. Like, they're going to say the same thing. Well, and they don't see that. And if they are an anti-war Democrat, They vote for Democrats who make wars. The Republicans make the wars and the Democrats continue them, or the Democrats make the wars and the Republicans continue them. They did that. So Vietnam, the Democrats started it, and then the Republicans continued it. And then Iraq and Afghanistan, the Republicans started it, and then the Democrats continued it. I mean, it's the same shit. But it's like after Obama took office, like Iraq and Afghanistan just like stopped. I mean, obviously it didn't stop for the people that were there, the Americans that had to fight over there, and then all the people that were killed over there also, the Iraqis and Afghanis that were killed. It was real for them, but like they stopped talking about it in America. Like it just like went away because that wasn't. They had to move along. Because eventually people are going to start to be like, have we been in a war for like 15 years? That's crazy. That seems pretty wild to be in a war for 15 years. You ever heard anything like that? No. How long is World War II? Like 4 or 5, like 6 years tops? I mean, like you include China, you got a couple more in there. 15 fucking years, you're saying, John, that we've been there? People would start to ask fucking questions about that. So they had to move along, and then we did the race thing, and then we did the Russia thing, and then we did the race thing again, and the disease, and famine's next. We got war, disease, famine, and pestilence soon. So yeah, dude, I just, it's so hard to even like want to even make fucking commentary videos about current events because like I have a hard time believing what I'm seeing. Take a Diddy, okay? He's probably guilty of many horrible things. They're saying so many things like I don't believe some of it because it sounds stupid to me. And nobody like with the Diddy. With the Diddy, it's just like with the other fella Epstein and his friend Weinstein. The bigger question to me, I mean, if they committed crimes, they should be punished for it. And people want to get into the sordid details. I want to know because they're in trouble not because of what they did, is because of whatever they stopped doing. They stopped playing their role in the show in some way. They stopped paying, they stopped saying the right things to the right people, and then they got in trouble for all the stuff that everybody already knew they were doing. It's like and people go, oh, okay, and they don't even see that it's literally a show with celebrities in it being played at a time where we should be concerned about this situation in Israel. That's a pretty big deal. We should be concerned about that. We should be concerned about a lot of stuff, but we're on this. But maybe none of it's real. Maybe it's all real. Maybe only the Diddy thing's real. Maybe Diddy is responsible for what's happening over there. Who knows? It all could be possible. I'm not saying everything is fake. I'm just saying it's gotten to the point where it's honestly very difficult to tell unless, in my opinion, trusting what you're hearing from sources, even if it's something that you want to hear, is irresponsible. I hate to keep harking on the Russian thing, but it's just something that comes to mind because I watched a video recently where the person was talking about how they claim that like 1,000 Russians are being killed every day in Ukraine. And I'm like, dude, that's just not even fucking possible to be true. Like, if that's true, then there's crazy. This shit's crazy. That's not possible. That is based on everything else that's going on. The fact that the world hasn't ended yet, that there hasn't been a fucking war. Apparently, wasn't Ukraine invading Russia or something? What are they gonna do? Are they gonna march on Moscow? I just don't fucking believe it. And people want to believe that because it goes along with what they want to believe because they hate Russia. Everybody's all ginned up on this. There's a lot of like otherwise reasonable people that are really really passionate about this Slavic war. I asked them how do they feel about the ongoing issues in Sudan and the Darfur region and South Sudan and all that shit. Do you have strong feelings about that? I thought you were concerned about people that are being violated, that are having their places invaded. Well, no, because that's not what they're being shown on the TV. Fuck, man. Yeah, I don't know. So just, I don't know what to hope for. I don't know if I hope that I'm wrong. I mean, I don't hope that, because I don't want everyone to die. I don't want I don't want to have World War III over all this shit while being run by the dumbest people in the world ever that have run of such power. There's never been so much power in the hands of people so unfucking worthy of wielding it. And I think it's a danger to us all. But that's just, I don't know. I just had to put that out there. I'll try to come up with something funnier. The scissor thing was pretty good. I got almost 2,000 views on the goddamn scissor thing. I'll come up with something like the scissor thing again. You watch. Talk to you folks later.